Well, hi, my name is Peter Lee. I'm a commercial, landscape and a wildlife photographer. I take quite a few pictures of nature and of birds, and I'd like to share with you some reasons why you might consider buying the Canon 5 DSR camera. There are negative sides of the camera and there's several positives, so let me first of all give you the negatives, the cons for this camera. And the first one, of course, is this is primarily a film camera or a for shooting stills. For video, you'll be terribly disappointed because the best you'll get is the 1920 by 1080p. That is the best. It's not really a video camera. It has video, but the quality is pretty low down on the scale. As a bird photographer, I would also consider that possibly 5 frames a second is the best I can get out of this camera, and with poor buffering it's really not suited so much to continuous shooting, and so really those two things are the negatives about the camera. But there are so many positives with this camera. First of all, it's a 51 megapixel full frame DSLR, a standard camera. 51 megapixels of course allows you to have great quality and the ability, particularly for if you like me, you do birds and they're quite far away, then of course you can do severe cropping without too much loss of image and without too much problems with grain. So as a camera for landscape, birds, flowers, and of course as a commercial photographer I'm also doing studio work as well. I bought my camera in September of 2017 and I paid $3,700 for my Canon 5 DSR. And today the price is on B&H is $1,499, and I'm not too good at mathematics, but I think if you take $1,499 from the price that I paid for my camera, which is $3,700, the saving is $2,200, $2,200. So as a camera for still photography, absolutely superb. And of course, you're saving $2,200, and you can invest in then a dedicated, or more dedicated camera for doing video work. So that would be my recommendation. So I'm going to show you some pictures that I've taken with the Canon 5 DSR, and I'm going to sort of put them into categories. I'm going to first of all show some studio shots. Then I'm going to show some photography with this camera photographing birds. Then I'm going to do architecture, flowers, and then aquatic. And we'll be showing some of the pictures that I've taken, some of the prints that I've taken with the Canon 5 DSR. Now, a lot of you will be considering should I go mirrorless for the, say, the Canon R6 or Canon R5. And of course here I have the Canon R5, which I find is absolutely superb for birds in flight. However, you're looking at $3,900 for the Canon 5 DSR, and that's the starting point. You still need to buy RF glass instead of here EF glass, which a lot of you would have anyway. Yes, you can use EF glass on the R5, and that's what I do, but then you have to buy an adapter, and so the cost of the R5 is quite considerable, and you may want to consider at what about $1,500 to snap up one of these great Canon 5 DSR cameras. So I'm going to be showing some pictures, and I'll just run through that now, and then if you would like to see further images which I've taken, I'll leave the link to my website below this video, and there's also links on my website to my Facebook account, and you'll be able to see some of the work that I've taken with this camera and judge for yourself whether you'd like to snap up the bargain of the century at $1,500 for this Canon 5 DSR camera. So pictures I'm going to run through right now, and the first one I'm going to do is my studio shots, and the first one on the studio shots is a wine bottle and glass. Now the wine bottle and glass is particularly complex to take. I really wouldn't want to attempt it with my Canon R5. Simply, I find that still the 5 DSR is more suited for me for studio work, and so I would rely on this camera to do anything in the studio. And I have very simple, very cheap monoblocks, and so here's my first one, which is a wine bottle and glass. Lighting is absolutely critical, and so is the ability to take a good image with a good camera, and the 5 DSR excels, and it's my preference really over the Canon R5. The next one I'm going to talk about is the olive oil and tomato, or as they say in America, tomato, but I'm from London, so it's olive oil and tomato, and you can see now what I've been able to achieve with the Canon 5 DSR camera. And the last one in my studio shots is called Coffee Break. And you can see that the image resolution is superb, and I think if you were doing studio work, even with simple monoblocks, simple lighting, I use 400 watt monoblocks. I have 2 of them for this shot, and you can achieve some very, very good studio shots with a camera. Now we turn to birds, and my first one is a purple finch, and you can see that the finch is bitingly sharp. Focus is a breeze with this camera, and it can produce wonderful, wonderful pictures. And so the first one, of course, is a purple finch. And then we have an all-time favorite, the hummingbird. This one is the Anas hummingbird. And you can see that the image quality is absolutely out of this world. And the fact that it's a 51 megapixel camera means that a tiny, tiny little hummingbird, you can just crop in really, really tight with that and get some very, very dramatic shots with no problem at all. That's the advantage, I think, of having a 51 megapixel camera. Now, the prairie falcon is interesting. I was out at the wildlife refuge. I had my Canon R5 with me, and I was doing birds in flight. And I was driving my car on the autoroute, and all of a sudden I saw a prairie falcon in the tree. And I knew it wasn't going to be there for more than a few seconds, and that would not have given me time to change lenses on the Canon R5. But fortunately, I had my 5 DSR camera with a 500mm prime lens, the 4.5 prime lens, and a 1.4 extender. So I had 700mm lens on the 5 DSR. So I quickly put down the Canon R5, picked up the Canon 5 DSR, and this is the image I was able to get with the Canon. Absolutely superb, able to crop in because it's a 51 megapixel camera. And so really what I do now is I keep one camera with the long lens, the 500mm and the 1.4 extension. I usually keep it on this camera, and then keep my 100-400 zoom lens on the Canon R5. That way I can do birds in flight very quickly and swap over to the Canon 5 DSR with the big 500mm prime lens, but shooting at 700mm. So there's a lesson for you. You can get good images with this camera. Now we're talking about architecture, and here's a picture of San Francisco, and I am known for having black skies, so it is solarized. But just look at the detail in this shot of San Francisco in this sort of business financial district, and see the beautiful, beautiful quality that you can get with architectural photography with this camera. And then I go, or have been going, to France fairly frequently, and here's a picture of a French farmhouse. And of course, I like these sort of tinting and applied tinting to this image, a sort of sepia tint. And so this is the image of a French farmhouse, about an 1850s farmhouse, and it's a little bit dilapidated, but makes a wonderful, wonderful architectural shot. For those who like flowers, well, I put on a 100mm macro lens on the Canon 5 DSR, and here is my picture in my front garden, or as I say here in America, front yard, of my peonies. Absolutely beautiful, and you won't be disappointed with this camera with a good macro lens, in this case the 100mm 2.8 macro lens Canon. And the last one is taken at a marina, and it's an aquatic shot of jellyfish. And it's shot through a sort of thick perspex, very, very difficult lighting conditions, very difficult to achieve a good image. But this is absolutely stunning. It excels in so many areas. So that's my last shot, is the aquatic of a jellyfish. So my recommendation is that consider the Canon 5 DSR from B&H. You'll get good service, you'll get a superb camera, and it is the bargain of the century. I was even considering myself for getting a second Canon 5 DSR because they are so good, and I use it so often, and I get such wonderful, wonderful results with this camera. So I'm still using my Canon R5, the mirrorless camera, but for other shots, I still rely on this good Canon 5 DSR camera. So if you have comments and you'd like advice, or you would like to discuss anything, please leave something in the comment section below. If you like the video, you're happy about that, just give it a thumbs up, and do consider subscribing to my channel. I have other videos in my channel, and so do please hit the subscribe button, and I look forward to working with you to help you improve your photography. But do take advantage of this offer of $1,499 for the Canon 5 DSR. You will not be disappointed. And there's a caveat, because just a short while ago I decided to buy a Sony camera because I do landscape, and I want to have a camera just ready with the lens to do landscape shots. So I got the Canon, a small Sony camera, the A7R2 I think it was, and I'm glad I bought it because the price was absolutely at rock bottom. And I went on a few days ago to see if it's still available, and it's completely sold out. So you may find that unless you get a camera, the Canon 5 DSR, at its staggering price of $1,500, you may be very disappointed and find that they've all gone. So I would certainly look at B&H, buy the camera while it's still available, because it is now discontinued, I understand. First produced in 2015, but it's the bargain of the century, a camera that you will really, really enjoy, and it will serve you very well. So thank you for that, and I look forward to working with you to help you improve your photography. And this is Peter Lee signing off. So thank you so much.